So you've probably heard this term floating around, DeFi. It's usually wrapped up in a ton of jargon and, let's be honest, a lot of hype. Today, we're going to cut right through all that noise. Let's dive in and figure out what decentralized finance is really all about.
All right, so let's just get right to it. What is DeFi, really? I mean, beyond all the complicated tech talk and the crazy headlines you see, what are we actually talking about here?
You know the stories, right? They're all over the place. You hear these tales of incredible, life-changing gains, and then, just as often, these absolutely dramatic losses. All that noise makes it really tough to see what's actually being built underneath.
Okay, to really wrap our heads around this, let's use a super simple analogy. For a second, just forget about code, forget about blockchain, and think about a library. Trust me, this is the key to getting the whole concept.
Yeah, this lays it out so clearly. Think about traditional finance, or TradFi as they call it, as the old library. If you want a loan, you have to go through the librarian, who is basically the bank. They're the middleman. They set all the rules, they charge all the fees. Now, DeFi is more like a global book club. There's no librarian. The rules of the club are just written into code that everyone agrees on, and the record of who has what is a public shared ledger that anyone can look at. The bottom line, the whole point is to get rid of that middleman.
So how in the world does it do that? Well, it all runs on something called a smart contract. And honestly, the best way to think of a smart contract is like a super trustworthy vending machine. You put your money in, that's the condition, and bam, the machine automatically spits out your snack. No cashier needed, right? A smart contract does the exact same thing for finance. If you meet the conditions, say, putting up collateral, it automatically gives you a loan.
I think this really sums it all up. You've got traditional finance, this one path controlled by all these gatekeepers. What DeFi is trying to do is build a completely new parallel financial highway. And this highway runs on the blockchain, and it's open for literally anyone to use without having to ask a bank for permission.
Okay, so we get the big idea, the philosophy behind it, but what can you actually do with this stuff? Let's open up the DeFi toolbox and take a look at what's inside.
All right, first up, and this is the big one, the most popular tool in the box by far, is lending and borrowing. This is really the bedrock of the whole DeFi world.
So here's the deal. It's pretty straightforward, actually. You can take your crypto, lend it out to what's called a liquidity pool, and earn interest on it. Or, on the flip side, you can use your own crypto as collateral to take out an instant loan. And here's the kicker. No credit checks, no stacks of paperwork. The code just handles it all, automatically.
Next up in our toolbox is something called a decentralized exchange, or a DEX for short. You can think of it like a currency exchange, but with absolutely no one behind the counter. And this is maybe the single most important difference you need to understand. On a normal, centralized exchange like Coinbase, you have to deposit your money onto their platform. They hold your funds for you. With a DEX, you trade directly from your own personal wallet. This means you are always in control of your funds. That is a massive, massive shift in how we think about who controls our money.
All right, on to our third key component. This one is designed to solve one of the biggest headaches in all of crypto, those insane, wild price swings. Let's talk about stablecoins.
So what is a stablecoin? Well, it's basically a special kind of cryptocurrency that's built for, well, stability. Its whole job is to hold a steady value, and it does this by being pegged to a real-world asset, usually the good old US dollar. This way, you get all the awesome benefits of a fast, global crypto transaction, but without the crazy volatility you see with something like Bitcoin.
So, we've got all these cool new tools, right? Smart contracts, DEXs, stablecoins. But so what? Why does any of this actually matter? How does this help real people in the real world? Let's connect the dots.
First off, let's talk about something we all care about, our savings. I mean, this chart really tells the story. On one side, you've got your traditional bank account, offering, practically nothing in interest these days. And then you have DeFi lending, where there's at least the potential to earn significantly higher yields. It's a totally new option for making your money work harder for you. And here's another huge pain point. If you've ever tried to send money to another country, you know this feeling. It is painfully slow, and the fees can be just outrageous. DeFi just completely flips this on its head. Check this out. You just convert your money to a stablecoin, send it over the blockchain, and bam, the person on the other end gets the funds in minutes, not days. And it costs this tiny, tiny fraction of what a normal wire transfer would. This is an absolute game changer for people sending money home to their families. And it doesn't even stop there.
The bigger picture here is massive. We're talking about real financial inclusion, where anyone with a smartphone can get access to financial services, no bank account required. We're talking about you having total control over your money, where no bank can just decide to freeze your account or block a transaction. And we're talking about radical transparency, where every transaction is on a public ledger for the whole world to see and verify.
Okay, now before we all get too excited, we have to talk about the other side of the coin. It is not all sunshine and high yields. It's so important that we talk about the risks, because this stuff is still very new and incredibly experimental.
And honestly, this is the best way to think about it right now. The world of DeFi today is still the Wild West. There's a ton of opportunity, for sure, but there are also very real dangers out there that you have to be aware of. So what kind of dangers? Well, for starters, the code, those smart contracts, can have bugs that hackers can exploit. The crypto you're using as collateral could crash in value overnight. And because the space is so new and exciting, it attracts a ton of scammers and bad actors. This all leads us to the absolute golden rule of crypto. And please remember this, never, ever invest more than you are willing to lose.
So, where does that leave us? We've got this incredible, world-changing potential on one hand, and these very serious risks on the other. What's the final verdict here? Is this the future?
When you strip everything else away, DeFi is so much more than just hype. It's a truly bold experiment. It's a global attempt to build a completely new financial system from the ground up, one that's designed from day one to be more open, more accessible, and way more efficient for everyone.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. Make no mistake, a battle is brewing over what the future of our financial world is going to look like. And while it is still very early, DeFi is proving to be a pretty powerful contender in that fight. So the real question for you is this a contender you can afford to ignore?